The treatment of water may be divided into three major categories: purification for domestic use, treatment for specialized industrial applications, treatment of wastewater to make it acceptable for release or reuse. The type and degree of treatment are strongly dependent upon the source and use of the water. Water for domestic use must be disinfected to eliminate disease causing microorganisms, but may contain level of dissolved calcium and magnesium. Water to be used in boilers may contain bacteria but must be soft to prevent scale formation. Wastewater being discharged into large river may require less rigorous treatment than water to be reused in an arid region. Most physical and chemical processes are used to treat water involve similar phenomena regardless of their application to these three main categories of water treatment. Wastewater treatment is the process of converting wastewater, water that is needed or is no longer suitable for use, into water that can be discharged back into the environment. Its treatment aims at reducing the contaminant to acceptable levels to make the water safe for discharge back into the environment. Several chemical, physical treatment plants, biological wastewater treatment plants are used to treat these contaminants into the wastewater. The water is directed to a treatment plant using underground drainage system or by exhauster tracks and operated by business people. The transportation of wastewater should be done under hygienic conditions. The pipes or tracks should be leak proof, and the people offering the exhausting services should wear protective clothing. Biological system basically ideal for treating wastewater from household and businesses premises. Physical wastewater treatment plants are mostly used to treat wastewater from industries, factories, and manufacturing firms. This is because most of the wastewater from these industries contain chemicals and toxins that can largely harm the environment. The first step is the wastewater treatment process. Collection systems are put in place by municipal administration, homeowners as well as business owners to ensure that all wastewater is collected and directed to a central point. This water is then directed to treatment plants. Any treatment plant, either it is a municipal treatment plant or any other industrial treatment plant using underground drainage system or by exhauster tracks owned and operated by business people. The transportation of wastewater should be done under hygienic conditions. The pipes or tracks should be leak proof and people offering the exhausting services should wear protective clothing. At the treatment plant, odor control is very important. Wastewater contains a lot of dirty substances that cause smell over a time. To ensure that surrounding areas are free of smell, odor treatment processes are initiated at the treatment plant. All odor sources are contained and treated using chemicals to neutralize the smell producing elements. It is the first wastewater treatment plant process. Now the next is screening. This is the next step in the wastewater treatment plant. Screening involves the removal of larger objects, for example, cotton buds, plastics, diapers, rags, sanitary items, face wipes, broken bottles, bottle tops that in one way or another way damage the equipment. Failure to observe these steps result in constant machine and equipment problems. Specially designed equipment is used to get rid of grit that is usually washed down into the sewer lines by rainwater. The solid waste removed from the wastewater are then transported and disposed of in the landfill.
A schematic diagram of a typical municipal water treatment plant is shown below. This particular facility treats water containing excessive hardness and a high level of iron. The raw water taken from wells first goes to an aerator. Contact of the water with air removes volatile solutes such as hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, methane, and volatile odorous substances such as methane thiol and bacterial metabolites. Contact with oxygen also aids iron removal by oxidizing soluble iron to insoluble iron. The addition of lime as after aeration raises the pH and results in the formation of precipitates containing the hardness ions. These precipitates settle from the water in a primary basin. Much of the solid material remains suspension and requires the addition of coagulants such as iron, aluminium sulfates, which form gelatinous metal hydroxides to settle the colloid particles. Activated silica or synthetic polyelectrolytes may also be added to stimulate coagulation or flocculation. The setting occurs in a secondary basin after the addition of carbon dioxide to lower the pH. Sludge from both the primary and secondary bases is pumped to a sludge lagoon. The water is finally chlorinated, filtered, and pumped to the city water remains.
Why does it take so long to remove the contaminants from the water? Most contaminants are water soluble, meaning that they dissolve in water. Water sources that can dilute contaminants to a concentration that may not be dangerous. However, after enough pollution, the capacity of the lake, river, stream can be exceeded. The detention time or residence time of a water body is the time that it takes for a substance that is introduced to the water to flow out again. The retention time of a lake can vary depending on the volume of the lake, the depth of the lake, and the number of the rivers flowing in and out of the lake. While some lakes have retention time of several months, that are others that retain substances for several thousand years. The actual time to decompose can vary according to how compact the waste is, the chemical composition of the item, the temperature, sunlight, and the precipitation that the waste receives. How can water sources that are already contaminated be cleaned? The major aspect of water pollution involves cleaning the waters that are already contaminated. There are a number of ways in which this can be accomplished, the most effective being the protection of water sources against the future contamination, while allowing natural, biological, chemical, and physical processes to break down the existing contaminants. However, if the water source is used to provide drinking water, additional treatments may be necessary to improve the water quality in a shorter period of time. Various factors determine the appropriate type of treatment, including the water source, whether it is ground water source or surface water source, the volume, depth of the water, and the type and the amount of chemical in the water. In this conventional type of groundwater treatment, pumps are used to bring polluted water to the surface where it can be more easily treated. Pumping the water out of the ground is a process that works in situations that are difficult to treat, but it can be costly and time consuming as the water must be removed from the sources and treated. Sometimes treatment can be applied at the site of contamination, and at other time the waste must be transported, treated, and then returned to the source or another location. This process typically takes between 5 and 10 years to remediate a water source, but it is not unusual for the process to go on for decades. The three treatment processes, air stripping, activated carbon filtering, bioremediation, are often used as a part of pump and treat method for remediating a region. Other processes are used for the treatment, but phytoremediation and chemical oxidation These processes don't require the groundwater to be pumped up through a well in order to remove the contaminants. Air stripping. Air stripping is a method that uses air to remove contaminants from water. The process can effectively remove chemicals that evaporate easily, including fuels, solvents. Contaminated water is pumped through a large chamber where it is sprayed over packing material. The packing material allows the water to slowly trickle to the bottom of the tank. At the same time, a fan blows air upwards which causes the chemicals to evaporate out of the water. The chemicals are collected at the top of the tank and treated so that they cannot cause further pollution. Air strippers basically can be brought to the site of contamination, which reduces the transportation cost. The rate at which air stripping can remediate a groundwater source varies, but it usually takes many years to clean up a site. Next is the activated carbon filtration process. Another process that is used to remove pollutants from the water is filtration using the activated carbon filters. This method can remove fuel, polychlorinated biphenyls, dioxins, and radioactive waste. The polluted water is sent through the column of activated carbon. The chemicals stick or absorb to the surface and within the pores of granules that are present in the column and clean the water that flows through the another column. When the filters become blocked with contaminants, they must be cleaned or replaced. Major disadvantage of using the activated carbon filters: it doesn't break down the contaminants such as some of the other methods, bioremediation, phytoremediation, do. To clean an activated carbon filter, the carbon is heated and air is pumped through the column. To loosen the contaminants from the carbon, the contaminants are then disposed in the landfills or destroyed with the other method. Activated carbon filters are generally used in addition to another process because excessively polluted water can block the filters quickly. The time required to clean a groundwater sources with this method ranges from few days to years, depending on the rate and success of other treatment methods. These processes are extremely expensive, with the prevention of pollution in the first place being 100 to 1000 of times less expensive. The other method that degrade the pollutants is the bioremediation. Bioremediation is a process that using the microorganisms that are naturally found in soil to digest the contaminants in the soil and water, including the chemicals that are found in gas and oil spills. As shown in the diagram below, the microorganism digests the chemicals and convert them into water and harmless gases such as carbon dioxide. Bioremediation can take anywhere from a few months to a few years to remove contaminants, but it is effective and natural treatment process that doesn't require the use of chemicals or disinfectants. It is less intrusive than many other forms of the treatment and is also fairly inexpensive. When this process of bioremediation occurs in nature, it is known as natural attenuation and generally occurs at slow rate. The rate of digestion can be increased with the addition of air and nutrients, which allow the microorganism to grow and multiply. However, mixing with air can cause chemicals to evaporate before they can be digested. So mixing is often done in an enclosed tank so that chemicals cannot escape from the tank. The water is pumped up through a well and enters a holding tank. Once in the tank, nutrients are added and the water is aerated to provide optimal conditions for microorganisms. After enough of the chemicals are removed, the water is pumped back into the aquifer. Bioremediation is a process that is increasingly used in municipal wastewater treatment plants. It is also used to treat drinking water, especially the water that is difficult to treat with any other method. Phytoremediation is a process that uses the roots of plants and trees to remove pollutants such as metals, pesticides, and oils from soil and water. Trees can remove contaminants that are deep in aquifer because the roots reach much further than those of small plants. When the roots of plants take in water and nutrients, they also take in chemicals and store them in their roots, stem, and leaves. The plants can then convert the chemicals into gases that are released into the air as the plant breathes. Chemicals can stick or absorb to the plant roots. In this case, the chemicals are removed from the water or soil when the plant is removed. A further benefit of phytoremediation is that plants and trees help to prevent further contamination by minimizing runoff and erosion. Phytoremediation often takes years to restore the water or soil to a high quality, but like bioremediation, it is effective and natural process and doesn't rely on chemicals to treat the water and is really inexpensive process. Phytoremediation is a process that is similar to a natural process that occurs in wetland. Chemical oxidation. Chemical oxidation is a process that uses oxidants to convert harmful chemicals such as fuels, solvents, and pesticides into less harmful chemicals such as water and carbon dioxide. The most commonly used oxidants are hydrogen peroxide and potassium permanganate, which are liquids. Ozone, which is a gas, can also be used, but it is more difficult to contain than liquids. To apply chemical oxidation to a groundwater source, wells are drilled and the oxidant is pumped in. As in this picture, two wells are dug so that water can be circulated as shown in the diagram to the right. This ensures that the oxidant is able to be evenly mixed in water and remove the majority of contaminants. When the oxidant is added, heat is produced. Enough heat is produced to boil water. This causes the chemicals to evaporate from the water and travel upward to the soil. Contaminants are captured above ground where they can be safely treated and disposed of. Chemical oxidation is an expensive treatment process, but in comparison to bioremediation and phytoremediation, it is faster process. It takes between several months and 1 year to finish removing the contaminant from a polluted area with oxidation. Mine drainage. In places where coal is mined, the mineral pyrite is a waste material. A series of complex reactions between pyrite, oxygen and water result in acid mine drainage. Acid mine drainage basically is a wastewater that is extremely acid and contains high concentration of heavy metals. Acid mine drainage is one of the major sources of stream pollution in this. Acid mine drainage can be treated using chemical treatments that decrease the acidity of water and allow the heavy metals to precipitate separate from the water. This type of treatment often very expensive. Another way to treat acid mine drainage is by passing it through a lagoon or wetland, which removes heavy metal and decreases the acidity of water. Acid mine drainage is also treated by passing it through a channel of limestone, a rock that is very alkaline, which also neutralizes the acidity of water. Harmful effect of acid mine drainage on terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem. The introduction of effluents from mining activities into receiving stream can impact aquatic ecosystem through habitat destruction and impairment of water quality. This will lead to reduction in biodiversity of a given ecosystem and its ability to sustain life. Severity and extent of damage depends on a variety of factors, including the frequency of influx and volume, chemistry of drainage, the buffering capacity of the receiving streams. Urban runoff. When rain falls on natural land such as forests, some of it soaks into soil and then slowly makes its ways to rivers, lakes, and oceans. Much of the land is paved with cement and asphalt, and water is unable to sink into ground. Instead, it quickly moves to the storm drains and then into the natural waterways. The great volume of water causes much erosion and sedimentation. In addition, as the rainwater runs over paved surfaces, it gathers oil and grease from cars, fertilizers, pesticides from gardening, pathogen from animal waste, road salts, heavy metals. These are dumped directly into the natural waters with urban wastewater. Runoff from urban areas is the largest source of pollution and the third largest source of pollution in the lakes. Controlling urban runoff is extremely difficult because its sources are hard to identify. Some ideas to minimize runoff including adding vegetation, drainage areas to new construction sites. Some cities have instituted severe stenciling problem that remind people that rainwater flows directly into the natural water. Gas stations have also been targeted as business that can help control car oils, grease. Schools also develop programs to teach students about urban runoff and non-point source of wastewater. Office of the Wastewater Management of the US Environmental Protection Agency has designated farms as animal feeding operations that can regulate the disposal of animal waste products. This moves a large portion of agricultural runoff from the non-point source category to the point source category and allows for the better management of agricultural pollution because non-point source category is difficult to manage than the point source category. Point source category is identifiable source of pollution that easier to manage, hence conversion of the non-point source category to the point source category. Industrial wastewater treatment. There are two major ways of removing organic waste is biological treatment by activated sludge or related process. It may be necessary to eliminate microorganisms to the degradation of constituents that are not normally biodegradable. The other major process for the removal of organics from wastewater is absorption by the activated carbon, usually in columns of granular activated carbon. Activated carbon and biological treatment can be combined with the use of powdered activated carbon in the activated sludge process. The powdered activated carbon absorbs some constituents that may be toxic to microorganisms and is collected with the sludge. A major consideration with the use of activated carbon to treat wastewater is the hazard that spent activated carbon may present from the waste effluents. These hazards may include those of toxicity or reactivity, such as those hazards posed by waste from manufacture of explosives absorbed to the activated carbon. Water is widely used in various process applications in industry. Other major industrial uses are boiler feed water and cooling water. The kind and degree of treatment of water in these applications depends on the end use. As examples, cooling water may require only minimal treatment, removal of corrosive substances, and scale forming solute is essential for boiler feed water. And water is used in food processing must be free of pathogens and toxic substances. Improper treatment of water for industrial use can cause problems such as corrosion, scale formation, reduced heat transfer in heat exchangers, reduced water flow, and product contamination. These effects may cause reduced equipment performance or equipment failure, increased energy cost due to inefficient heat utilization or cooling, increased cost for pumping water, and product deterioration. Numerous factors must be taken into consideration in designing and operating the industrial water treatment facility. These include water requirement, as water requirement is most important factor. Next is quantity and quality of available water sources. Next is sequential use of water, water recycle and discharge standard. The various process implied to treat water for industrial uses. External treatment usually applied to the plant's entire water supply. Among external treatment, aeration, filtration and clarification used to remove material that may cause problems from water. Such substances include suspended solids, dissolved solids, hardness, dissolved gases. Following the basic treatment, the water may be divided into different streams, some to be used without further treatment and the rest to be treated for the specific application. An important aspect for industrial processes, water treatment is the use of antiscalant and dispersant. The antiscalant prevents scale formation from material such as calcium carbonate from building up, and dispersant keeps scale particles from adhering to the surfaces by keeping them dispersed in water. One of the most effective agents for this purpose is polyacrylate polymer. This polyacrylate polymer formed by the polymerization of acrylic acid and treatment with base. This polymer binds with scale forming substances and keeps them dispersed in water by virtue of negative charge of polyacrylate. Polyacrylate is not biodegradable and accumulate with sludge residue from water treatment process. Wastewater can be treated by a variety of chemical processes including acid-base neutralization, precipitation reaction, oxidation reduction reaction. Sometimes these steps must precede biological treatment. For example, acidic or alkaline wastewater must be neutralized in order for microorganisms to thrive in it. Cyanide in the wastewater may be oxidized with chlorine and organics with ozone, hydrogen peroxide promoted with ultraviolet radiation, or dissolved oxygen at high temperature and pressure. Heavy metals may be precipitated with base, carbonates, or sulfides. Wastewater can be treated by several physical processes. In some cases, simple density separation and sedimentation can be used to remove water immiscible liquids and solids. Filtration is frequently required, and flotation by gas bubbles generated on particle surfaces may be useful. Wastewater solutes can be concentrated by evaporation, distillation, and membrane processes, including reverse osmosis, hyperfiltration, ultrafiltration. Organic constituents can be removed by solvent extraction method, air stripping method, or steam stripping. Synthetic resins are useful for removing some pollutants from wastewater. Organophilic resins have proven useful for the removal of alcohols, aldehydes, ketones, hydrocarbons, chlorinated alkanes, alkenes, and aryl compounds, esters. Cation exchange resins are also effective for the removal of heavy metals. Physical chemical treatment of wastewater. The next, removal of scum and solid objects, which is preliminary screening and grinding. Next is grit removal. Grit in wastewater, sand, sand and coffee that are not biodegradable grounds. It basically reduces the clogging of pipes. Grit is allowed to settle in tanks during primary treatment plant. Next is enter into the clarifier. Clarifier are settling tanks built with mechanical means for continuous removal of solids being deposited by sedimentation to remove solid particulates or suspended solids. Clarification basically addition of coagulant and frequently with the addition of other chemicals such as addition of lime for the phosphorus removal, calcium and phosphate converted into the calcium phosphate. In the next step is decarbonation. Decarbonation is necessary to lower pH to stabilize water and prevent deposition of carbonate scale on filtered sand. Next, pressurized filters are used. These pressurized sand filters for the removal of suspended solids and turbidity of water. It ensures maximum utilization of surface area and effective removal of impurities. After pressurized filter, activated carbon filters are also used. Activated carbon filters basically based on the adsorption of contaminants onto the surface of filters, effective in the removal of organic components. Next is disinfection. Disinfection basically used using any disinfecting agent as chlorine, any other disinfecting agent, chlorine dioxide, ozonation process, and by ultraviolet radiation technology.